Hello and welcome to One-on-One Sports. I'm Joe DiRienzo.
And I'm Curt Lestan. We've got a great show lined up for you today, so let's jump right into it with our starting five.
Notre Dame shocked the collegiate sporting world, announcing that they would be moving from the Big East to the ACC in almost every sport other than football and hockey. Now, Curt, is Notre Dame the winner in this, or is the ACC?
I'm going with a Big ND all the way because they jumped ship from the Big East, which, everyone's jumping off like that Titanic,
Yeah, everyone's
which they
leaving.
should be. So they win in that aspect. They get away from the Big East. But also the real reason why they win is their football team gets to stay and remain independent. Which means they get their own TV deal, which brings in buku bucks for the university. They win all around.
Yeah, everyone was really surprised the ACC let them in, even though they're staying independent in football. That was the one that everybody really thought they would have to give up to get into another conference. But I think the ACC is the winners. If you look at Notre Dame, yeah, they would have been one of the best teams in the Big East. If they stood for basketball, they would have been in the tournament almost every single year because they would have had no one to compete with. Now, they're 6th, 7th, maybe 8th best year after year in the ACC. They might be a bubble team every year.
Well, that's true. It's going to be a little harder for them there, but you got to look at the fact that they get out of the Big East, and now all their other sports, for the most part, get to benefit, okay? Throughout, even if you go down to soccer has a big rivalry with UNC for women's soccer. That's going to be huge for them. The fact that they stay independent for football is the biggest thing in all of this.
I mean, they might as well have been in football. They're playing 5 games a year with ACC teams. With the rivalries they have, USC, Stanford, Michigan State every year, their schedule is pretty much booked every year.
But it's all about money, Joe. It's all about money. If they can keep their own independent TV deal, that's fantastic for the university.
That's a win for them.
Absolutely. At the end of the Buccaneers-Giants game this Sunday, Tampa Bay's defense rushed Eli Manning as the G-men's offense took a knee to end the game. Bucs coach Greg Schiano said he teaches his players to play hard to the final whistle, while Coach Tom Coughlin thought it was a move you don't pull in the NFL. Joe, whose side are you on here?
There's only one side of this. It's not an argument.
Really?
Have you ever seen this happen in the NFL before? Ever?
Yeah.
When? When have you seen a kneel get knocked over like we're seeing right now?
Well,
when does that ever happen?
As Ron Jaworski said, when Herman Edwards picked up the fumble. And
that was not a kneel. That was not
a
kneel.
The play before was, and because they rushed, they were able to cause the fumble on the next play.
Curt, no, that is an unwritten rule in football. That is something you do not do. I know people are tired of hearing the whole unwritten rule thing, but a kneel happens because they're knocking out the clock. It's over. The game is over. Don't bother with rushing the quarterback. Don't do anything like that. It's a dumb thing to do.
Are you done?
Yes, I am.
I got something to say.
Because there's no argument on your side.
I got something to say. Tom Coughlin, where, Tom Coughlin? Come on, who are we here? Are we middle schoolers here?
I understand that it's football.
You play to the whistle, Joe. You play to the whistle. Hey,
would you rather them have run up the score?
Joe, it was a one-possession game,
Would you have rather them run up the score?
If they caused a fumble, got the ball, kicked the field goal, they win the game. You play until the end of the game. That's how the game is won.
They're kneeling that ball because they're not running any more plays. That's the end of the game.
Okay, but did the Buccaneers players say, okay, we acknowledge that, we'll let you just knee it? No. They lined up, they were ready to go. You got to be always ready to defend yourself on a football field. They weren't. That's on the G-men.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just so not on that side of this at all, Curt.
It's okay. You have a right to be wrong. It's okay.
When Derek Jeter collected career hit number 3,284 against the Tampa Bay Rays this Friday, he passed Willie Mays and moved into sole possession of 10th place all-time on the MLB hits list. Curt, he's still got a few more years left. How high do you think Jeter's going to end up on this list?
Okay, I did some math. So this could be completely
wrong.
This
could be interesting.
It could. I
this
did
is
some math.
uncharted territory.
I know. I'm not good at it. I tried to be an accounting major, didn't work. But Derek Jeter, 38 years old. Okay, I'm figuring. Let's say he has 2 more years. Let's just say he has 2 more years.
Yeah.
Okay, 40 years old. Say he gets about 150 hits per year. That's 300 more hits in his career. That would put him 5th behind Stan the Man. And I think that's where he falls on the list.
That's
on
pretty
this
fair.
list. I think that's how he's going to end his career.
I think that's pretty fair. However, he has never had less than 179 hits in a full season of play. So
True.
let's say
that is true.
Let's say he
is
gets
getting older
170
now.
a year.
Okay.
Let's say he gets 170. Then he's in sole possession of 4th after Stan Musial. He is now 4th behind Hank Aaron.
I hear what you're saying, but in this new era of baseball where people aren't on steroids, typically as you get older, you don't play as well, so those numbers could go down a little bit. That's why I'm only putting him 5th.
That's assuming he's only playing 2 more years. That's assuming he's only playing 2 more years. I know only because he's going to be 40 after those 2 years, but he hasn't shown many signs of stopping.
No, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and you know what? I hope you're right. I think Derek Jeter's a great player, and I think he's been clean his entire career. I hope he can play for as long as he possibly can. I just don't see it. I think he's getting too old too fast. While many are dubbing the new look Los Angeles Lakers as the favorites to win the NBA Finals, Mavericks owner Mark Cuban is having none of it. When talking about the Lakers' title hopes, Cuban said in a recent interview, quote, "It takes great chemistry. It takes guys wanting to be there. I don't think all their guys want to be there," unquote. Joe, does Cuban have a point here? Do all the players not want to be in Los Angeles Lakers at this point, or is he just a little bit bitter for missing out on Dwight?
You know what? I'm not sure if he really did have the intentions that I hope that he had with this quote. I think I'm fine with what he said. I'm not really fine probably with how he said it. He's probably a little bit sour about missing out on Dwight Howard and Darren Williams.
Can't blame him,
who wouldn't
right?
be? Who wouldn't be? You're missing out on two of the best stars of the free agent market. But I do agree with the negativity against this whole super team movement. I am tired of seeing players join up with other strong players in this league, and I'm tired of teams going out and getting these 3 or 4 superstars trying to one-up each other. There are 5 teams in the league now.
I'm with you.
5 teams.
You're right. I'm with you on that. The level of play and the fact that, the parity, as we like to say, for football is great parity in its league. Basketball doesn't have that. As you said, it's like 5 teams that can win. That's not right for the NBA right now.
Exactly.
But you know what? I love what Cuban said. I love it because he's right. It takes more than great players to win. They have to have some kind of team bond, some kind of chemistry there. He's absolutely right. I have no issues with what he said. Yeah, he's a hothead. Yeah, he talks too much, but I love it. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, I have no problem with this at all. Mark Cuban, thank you for being against this super team movement. I know he probably wanted to be a part of it this summer.
Of course.
And that's why he's saying that he's against it, but the reality of it is the NBA needs to move away from this.
I can't believe we're agreeing with Mark Cuban.
Go figure. Jim Calhoun announced that he is retiring from coaching after tallying 873 wins and 3 national championships in his 40-year career. Calhoun leaves with an air of uncertainty surrounding his team, with UConn being ruled ineligible for the upcoming NCAA tournament due to poor academic progress rate scores. Now, Curt, putting all of this aside, where do you rank Calhoun in the scheme of all of college basketball coaches?
Well, at this point, he's 6th with most wins. So
correct.
I think he certainly has to be in the top 10, and it just all depends on how high you value the fact that he did this at UConn, which was a school that didn't have history, didn't have great pedigree, and he brought them and made them a champion. So if you really hold that highly, I think he becomes a top 5 coach. If not, he's surely top 10.
Yeah, I agree with you. What he did for UConn is amazing. He went and got a team that was in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Can you pinpoint UConn on a map? It's because there's nothing near it. There's nothing. UConn's in the middle of nowhere, and he made this school one of the biggest powerhouses in college basketball in the last couple of years. 18 of the 26 years he coached at UConn, they made the NCAA tournament.
Which is amazing.
It's amazing.
Especially
it's an
starting
incredible
from scratch
feat.
like he did there.
Exactly. Even when he coached for Northeastern at the beginning of his career, at the very beginning of his career, 5 NCAA tournaments with Northeastern.
Yeah. I mean, Joe, I could walk into Duke right now, and I could take over that school, and we do just fine. But, I mean, to do it at UConn, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no doubt.
For sure.
We have to take our first break, but when one-on-one returns, I'll be joined by one of our baseball experts at the desk to make some end-of-the-season award predictions. Stay tuned. Welcome back to One-on-One Sports as we welcome to the desk MLB expert Ben Naughton as he prepares to go through the batting order. Now, Ben, we've got 9 questions for you dealing with MLB's regular season as we enter the home stretch. Are you ready to go through the order? All right, leading off, we've got a new 2-team wildcard system this year. How do you think that's going to affect the playoffs?
I think quality-wise it might diminish it a little bit because you have teams having to throw their number 1 ace in that wild card round. So long-term, playoff-wise, I think it might diminish it. Excitement-wise for the fans, we all win that one-game playoff. That's what people like.
We get to see a play-in game every year now. That's going to be exciting to watch.
2 of them.
Now, which division do you think has been the best this year?
I think quality-wise, AL West. I mean, you have a team like the Angels who's got young talent in Trout. You have the A's making do with castaways that no one wanted and then bring up some young talent of their own. And then you have the Rangers who've been consistent for 5 years and with pure power.
The Angels have disappointed a little bit, but the A's have kind of brought up the slack for them.
Exactly.
They've been a big surprise this year. Now, postseason races, which do you think has been the most exciting postseason race?
I'm going to take the easy one on this. AL East. I mean, the O's have added that certain je ne sais pas since they haven't had that since 1997. I mean, it's always been the Red Sox, Yankees. Now it's Yankees, O's, Rays. It's a little
it's an
different
exciting
mix.
3-team race. It's hard to go against that one.
Exactly.
Now, talked about the Oakland A's earlier. One of the most exciting teams this year. Big surprise. How are they doing it?
Well, before the All-Star break, they had, I won't say like a 36-man roster, moving guys in and out.
Right.
500 going in, into the break rather. You didn't really think they were going anywhere. They finally cemented that 25-man roster, and from there they've taken off. They got chemistry going in. They're hitting the long ball, and the chicks dig it. So
yeah, they're doing that great, but I think it's been their pitching. 3rd in ERA, 4th in WHIP this year. It's been really impressive. Now, we've got to talk about Mike Trout in the 5-hole. Is he going to win Rookie of the Year and AL MVP?
Rookie, he's a lock. I mean, MVP, there's some more debate, but I think he will. I mean, his WAR is off the charts. I mean, he's 10-6 at last check. I mean, the closest guy in the AL is Robbie Cano.
Nobody else in the majors has over a 7 WAR.
Exactly.
And he's all the way up over 10, which is ridiculous.
For a
I think
rookie.
Miguel Cabrera is his real competition.
Exactly, yeah.
If the Angels don't make the playoffs and the Tigers do, it's going to be a tough one. Yeah. Moving over to the NL, who do you think is going to win the MVP in the NL?
I'm going to say Buster Posey. He's picked up in the second half of the season ever since the Cabrera suspension for PEDs or whatever he had. I mean, he's really lifted that Giants team, extended that NL lead. He's been hitting .383 since the break. He's my pick.
All right, I think Ryan Braun has been making his way back up, now .312 with 100 RBIs and 40 homers. He's pushing a little bit.
There's
for that MVP
definitely
spot.
an argument for Braun.
Yeah. Moving over to the pitchers now. We got to talk about them. AL Cy Young, who you got?
David Price, 2.5 ERA, 18 wins, solid candidate.
Don't count out Chris Sale. He's had an incredible year. Guy racks up strikeouts like nobody.
He's been up and down a little bit this year.
Yeah, that's true. Now, NL Cy Young. How about there?
Gio Gonzalez, he'll get his 20th win in one of his final 3 starts. I mean, I know Dickey's the guy a lot of people want to go with. I like to pick a guy who's on a playoff team. The Mets just aren't doing it for me.
Yeah, Dickey's been a little bit up and down near the end of the year. Gio's been solid throughout the whole season. Last one, Ben, rounding out the lineup. World Series, as of right now, who's your favorite?
If the Tigers make the playoffs, they're my favorite. If not, I'll go with the Reds. They have a lot of pitching depth. I mean, they have Cuerto, Chapman in the pen. They have guys like Votto, Phillips. I mean, I don't see too many teams are up and down. They've been consistent throughout the whole year.
I do like the picks. I'm surprised no Rangers mentioned. First in average, on base, and slugging percentage
I just don't think
this
they
year.
have the pitching. I mean, that's always been their problem. I mean, they're inconsistent.
Yeah, that is fair, but I think their lineup is just one of the scariest I've ever seen.
Right, yeah.
We have to take a quick break, but when we come back, Curt will be joined by our NFL experts to break down Week 2 of the NFL. You're watching One-on-One Sports.
We're back at 101 Sports as we now welcome to our set our NFL experts Jackson Brodie, Ryan Balick, Nick Markunas, and they're going to help us make sense of the action from the second week of the season. So boys, we're going to go down the line here. My first question that I have for you is, which team start, whether it's good or whether it's bad, has surprised you the most, Jackson?
It's got to be the Arizona Cardinals. 2-0, they beat the Seahawks, and they upset the New England Patriots, who, by the way, I believe the Patriots were favored by 2 touchdowns going into that game. Their defense, that's it. Their defense looked tremendous. Darrell Washington had 13 tackles in that game. Patrick Peterson picked off Tom Brady during the first Patriots offensive sequence. The Patriots only converted 30% of their third down, so I'm very impressed with what I've seen from the Cardinals so far.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really seen Tom Brady look so almost lost.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Defense is a force.
Yeah, the Patriots could be in a lot of trouble. My pick for most surprising team is the Aints, and I mean the Saints. Excuse me.
Oh, yes.
They ain't gonna win anything the way they're playing right now.
Got suspended.
Yes. Oh, that's a
too
good one.
soon. Too soon?
But the Saints, they had 2 weak opponents. We knew they were going to come out struggling because of the whole bounty gate. They had a really tough offseason. But losing to the Panthers and the Redskins, 2 teams that in the past 5 years have been in the garbage.
Yeah.
And they were down big. Both times, Drew Brees had to come back and kaput.
Yeah. I'm going with the Seahawks team that almost beat Arizona with a little help from
that.
the officials. But they looked great against the Cowboys.
Did they ever?
Their defense looked really good.
Yeah.
Special teams getting a big block on the punt there. And Russell Wilson's been great. He's really managed the game. He hasn't been forced to make too many game-changing plays, but when they called on him to manage the game, he's done great. And Marshawn Lynch been beast mode. He's getting his touchdowns, eating his Skittles.
Eating the Skittles,
He
as
had a
always.
great game on Sunday.
Yeah. So I think the Seahawks have been really surprising. They'll be a force in the West.
And I agree with you. Certainly everyone is surprised with the Seahawks. No one really saw this coming, especially with a rookie quarterback. But we've talked about teams. Now we're going to look at players. What players this year, Ryan? Who's your breakout star?
Well, for me, he has broke out in the last 2 weeks for big runs all the time. It's C.J. Spiller, who through 2 weeks is averaging over 3 yards a carry, already has 3 touchdowns, and we've seen his deadly speed coming all the way from college, and we knew that this guy would be a good return guy in the league. But now that he has space to run, and now that Fred Jackson is injured, he's getting that chance, and he's gonna I could see him having a Chris Johnson-esque kind of breakout season with the speed, and hopefully he doesn't kind of crumble the way Chris Johnson has. But
some high
my guy's
comparison.
CJ Spiller for this year.
I'm staying on the ground with you, back in a similar mold. Reggie Bush, Saints fans got to be wondering, where has this been?
So many
Yeah.
touches.
So last year was his first 1,000-yard season, and he looks ready to follow that up with another 1,000-yard season. Before that, his biggest rushing total was 581 yards. So he was more of a swing back out of the backfield, punt returner. But now he looks like he can go through the tackles, break out, make some great plays.
He's starting to look like the Reggie Bush we wanted to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, for sure.
Looks like he still has a Heisman.
Yep,
Jackson, how about you?
That's a good. I like both those
Also
picks.
thinking
I'm going to go with the quarterback, Alex Smith. I know he had a good year last year, but I
Okay.
love what he's done just so far this year. His quarterback rating has been 115.9. He's thrown 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and you can't forget this offense was already great to begin with, and now they bring in a Randy Moss, Mario Manningham to go along with the
Got some
Vernon Davises,
He
Michael
has
Crabtrees,
so
and
many
whatnot.
weapons there.
Absolutely, it's almost not fair.
And
And
we
they've-
have a great defense.
Oh, yeah.
They've already beaten Detroit and Green Bay, so.
Handle it.
I mean,
Yeah.
my issue with that is really, I think until people say Alex Smith has taken that team deep in the playoffs and not the defense, he's not going to get the recognition he deserves. But guys, obviously those guys are under a lot of pressure. But after the first 2 weeks, which player, coach, or team do you guys think is under the most pressure now?
I'm going with the coach, Mike Munchak of the Tennessee Titans. And when you're ranked 32nd in offense and 30th in defense, you're doing something wrong. He can't do anything
say.
wrong. So he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing out there. The
Right.
team doesn't look like they're doing
Also,
out there.
Chris Johnson now complaining about his offensive lineman, and this could create for a huge
there's
controversy in
gonna
the
be-
locker room. We saw what happened with the Jets. I mean, this was,
I don't know if he's able to handle what's going on with that.
yeah.
He's
So-
getting paid that kind of money. He's got to perform.
Absolutely.
It's definitely going to be tough.
Absolutely.
Jackson, what do you think?
Oh, we'll go over to me. The Dallas Cowboys. We all hear about them far too much anyways. But if you look at the production that they got week 1 to week 2, it was unbelievable. DeMarco Murray's numbers did not even divided in half. They were terrible. And then Kevin Ogletree, his numbers shrunk incredibly too. Felix Jones has been terrible. And there's too much talk with what Jerry Jones says. He puts too much pressure on that team. We'll see if they're not there.
It's amazing how good they looked week 1, and then how they just came up so short.
Two different
against
teams.
Seattle.
Absolutely.
I'm going to stick with the Saints here and go with Drew Brees for who's under the most pressure. Now, the Saints now have to go and play Green Bay, San Diego, Denver, Philly, San Fran, Atlanta twice, and the Panthers again, who he already lost to. And they're already 0-2. And I believe the
brutal.
statistic
Really
is
bad.
12% of teams who start at 0-2 do only make the playoffs. So odds are clearly against Drew Brees.
Not
He's
looking
got a
good.
lot of pressure on him to bring this team
And
out
he's
of the
really got to
slumps.
carry their team, so
he's-
definitely under a lot of
he's
pressure.
the franchise guy. He just
You're
signed that
going
huge
through
contract.
Three quarterbacks, he's got to be the leader of the team.
yeah.
And,
And without their coach.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are exactly right. In New Orleans, it's all about Drew Brees. Guys, ton of pressure on all those guys. But you know who's not under pressure? Us. Because we
Oh, we're
look,
done.
because we look
this is
good
back now.
and we're done.
We do
are
look
done.
great.
That's true. Time for us to go to commercial. But when 101 returns, Joe will be back with our college football experts to dissect the primetime matchups from last Saturday. Stay tuned.
Week 3 of college football pitted top 25 teams against one another as the first chance to separate the good teams from the great ones. Our college football experts Jon Hill and Julian Council are ready to break down last Saturday's marquee matchups and determine what they mean in the grand scheme of college football. Now guys, let's start with the #1 team in the nation, Alabama, crushing Arkansas in that one. Are they the unanimous #1?
Obviously. I mean, the way they beat Arkansas this weekend was absolutely astounding. I know Tyler Wilson was not in the game, but still, just the way Adrian McCarron's throwing the ball, the way they ran the ball, the defense, Arkansas had nothing they could do. And Arkansas still being a good team, despite not having Tyler Wilson, but Alabama thus far winning against Michigan in Arlington easily. By far, they've had the opportunities to be the top team so far.
I got to agree with Julian on this one. I think it's one of those answers you hear it and it's like, of course they are. It helps too that USC lost this past weekend because there was enough dispute there that maybe USC was getting snubbed a little bit, but with the upset in Stanford, I don't think there's any question how they put on a clinic this past weekend.
Yeah, you know, with USC losing, I don't think there was really anybody else that had a say to compare to Alabama in this one.
no,
so
not
they're the unanimous #1 for
Yes,
now. Now,
obviously.
sticking in the SEC, Florida beating Tennessee this week. Now, where do the Gators rank in the SEC, John?
This early in the season, I'm going to get some hate for this one. I put Florida at number 2 in the SEC behind Bama. Julian doesn't agree.
No, there's no way. Florida, yeah, they won at A&M, impressive win, winning at Rocky Top.
Yeah.
Tennessee's still not what they used to be. It's been 8 straight wins for Florida.
I know, but I feel Tennessee is a better SEC win than any other win in the SEC that other teams have got. Who do you think has beaten a better SEC opponent at this point in the year?
At this point, no one, because they're really
bingo. So that's why they're number 2 at this point.
Really
you can't even argue with that.
Has been South Carolina and Vanderbilt, but
and South Carolina put such an
obviously Alabama's
spread.
obviously number 1,
Yeah.
and then LSU ranked 2nd in the country. They really haven't played anybody, but you got to think LSU's got to be better than Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, maybe even Mississippi State.
Whoa!
Wow.
Bold.
Maybe even
Very
Mississippi State. I mean, I like Mike Gillislee and Florida right now, the way they're playing, but I don't believe in the Gators getting it being the
right
number
now.
2. Right now, no.
They're number 2.
No.
Because they're the only people that have done anything in the SEC.
No. Even if they are 5th in the SEC, 5th in the SEC isn't too bad.
No.
Considering the SEC, the teams that you're comparing it to, 5th isn't even that bad. Now, we've got to move on here to Notre Dame actually doing something well in college football. Notre Dame beating Michigan State this weekend, first top 10 win they've had in 7 years. Is this the Irish getting back, or are they going to disappoint again?
No, it's a complete joke. Notre Dame, I'm sorry, it's the place where top recruits go to die. They're not good. I'm sorry. Yes, Golston came and played a great game. I still think Tommy Rees is probably going to be the quarterback for Notre Dame. It's a big win, top 10 Michigan State, but Maxwell coming at quarterback, he's still adjusting. And the defense, they played well, but Notre Dame's defense was amazing. But I just don't see Notre Dame continuing on the rest of the season. They still have to play USC. They got Stanford,
I think
Oklahoma.
you're putting way too much hate on Notre Dame this early in the season. We haven't played enough games yet for you to be able to fully establish it. Yes, the win wasn't the most premier win you would like. And yes, usually everyone comes out rah-rah Notre Dame, and then they just kind of jump off the cliff. But they have such a tough schedule this year. I want to see them play through that tough schedule. And then when they just get demolished by everybody that they
We know what's going to happen. It happens every year. Just like
this could be the year.
Since they have such a tough schedule, there is a chance of them falling off that cliff, like you said. But for now, Notre Dame's doing pretty well for themselves.
Give them a chance.
For now. Now we've got one more here. USC falling, like you guys said, to Stanford. Does this put USC out of the title picture?
Yes, it does. Early season losses are usually termed as the better losses to have, and that's true. And thank you for acknowledging my point here. But it doesn't matter. There are too many other teams in the top 10 that are not going to lose, that have the possibility of not losing for the rest of the year. And when those teams don't lose, USC is still going to have that one loss. No. USC may roll in and lose to Oregon.
No. Let's look at the top 10 right now.
No.
Alabama, LSU, Oregon, Florida State, and Oklahoma, and something Georgia, another poll. Okay, that's three SEC teams.
Some of those teams can win out?
Okay, Alabama and LSU are going to knock each other out.
They're going to play each other out, so that's fine.
And Oklahoma might be the team that might not lose. FSU's playing Clemson this weekend. They could easily lose this weekend.
Yes.
And but looking at history, the team who loses early usually has a better chance than losing late. And they still have plenty of Pac-10 games against top 25 teams in Arizona, Oregon, and they could play Stanford again in the Pac-12 championship.
When they come back and they play Oregon,
because
Oregon
USC lost so early, they've got the chance to prove themselves. The team I'm really looking forward to, Florida State, if they get past Clemson, like you said, they've got a pretty weak schedule for the rest of the year. They could be that undefeated team that keeps USC out of it.
I think that's Florida State's last real competition almost for the rest of the year. And if they beat Clemson on Saturday, I think they'll run the table, and then they'll secure that spot over USC.
It is going to be an interesting race down to the end.
USC's too talented.
Time for another break, but when One-on-One comes back, Curt will sit down with our hockey expert to analyze the factors that are leading the NHL down the road to yet another lockout. You don't want to miss this.
Welcome back to 101 Sports. The NHL is gearing up for another lockout, and here to make sense of it all is our hockey expert, Christine Williams. Christine, I know you're very upset.
I'm very upset.
Christine, this is your time to shine. My first question for you is, what are the main issues here? Why are we having a lockout?
Well, the main issues here, of course, it has to do with money. The owners want more of it. After the last lockout in 2004, 2005, the players basically got nothing. The owners got everything they wanted. They got caps on salaries. They got, whatever that they wanted. And now they're claiming that the system that they got doesn't work. And now they want to take back money from the players. They want to take back 24% of the hockey-related revenue that the players make. And how is that? How can the owner of the Minnesota Wild, who sat there and signed a 13-year, $98 million contract with not one, but 2 players, sit there and say that he doesn't have the money to pay these players after he went out and signed them to these ridiculous
Christine,
contracts?
to play devil's advocate, the last CBA, the owners only got 43% of the CBA.
Oh, I feel so bad for them. They got to divide that 30 ways, whereas the players have to divide 57%, 700 ways. Okay.
Well, clearly you're against the ownership. But moving on, if we do get locked out, the NHL gets locked out for the entire season, what are the fans going to miss?
Most importantly, what the fans are going to miss are some of the best players playing in their primes. They could miss out on one of the best seasons of hockey we have ever seen in the past 20 years. Think of this. You've got the faces of the league, Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Quick, all playing in their primes, in their mid-20s. And all of them have something to prove this year. Nothing is better than a player with something to prove. And we're going to miss out seeing some of the best hockey ever. Not only that, we've got the older guys who have 1 year left on contracts, like a Martin Brodeur. The last thing we're going to remember of Martin Brodeur is just confetti falling from the Staples Center as he's losing the Stanley Cup. He doesn't deserve that. The fans of New Jersey don't deserve that. Teemu Selanne doesn't deserve it. Daniel Alfredsson doesn't deserve it. But you know who misses out even more than any of that are the people, the employees, and the businesses around the hockey arenas. You've got the bars around the arenas that make money off of fans coming in and watching the games, and then you've got the vendors who don't make any money, who are now don't have jobs. They're unemployed. It's not fair to them. The sport loses momentum. It boggles my mind that they can even think about doing this.
Christine, are you okay?
This is really hard.
I know. Listen, we have one more question, okay? Now, I know a lot of people are going to miss out on the players, and I know that they're in their prime, and it's a great time to watch them. But what are they left to do? What can the players do now?
Right now, the only options for the players, if they want to continue playing, are going to the European leagues. A lot of them are thinking about going to the KHL, the Continental Hockey League in Russia.
A lot of them already have committed, right?
Yeah, Evgeny Malkin signed with Magnitogorsk Metallurg, and
say that 3 times fast.
And Alex Ovechkin just committed to Dynamo Moscow. So you've got your stars are going to go there. They can go to the Swedish leagues, the Finnish leagues.
Do you think a lot of them will come back to the NHL?
I think that they have it in their contracts that they will. Okay. Other players are going to stay home and continue training, and let's just hope that the Players Association continues to talk while all this is happening.
Well, Christine, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this hockey block. But hopefully we'll have more soon.
I know, I'm going to miss it.
I know, it's so sad. Well, we have to take a break, but when we return, Joe and I will be back once again to speculate what it would be like to see some of our favorite celebrities suit up for our favorite sport teams. You do not want to miss this.
This past week, the Bakersfield Condors, a minor league hockey team, offered pop star Justin Bieber an amateur tryout contract for their upcoming season. And no, this isn't a joke. I wish it was.
And while many believers would love to see the Canadian team idol on the ice, this got us thinking about which celebrities we would want to watch go pro, or at least try to. So, Joe, let me hear what you've come up with. What celebrities would you like to see go pro?
All right, I had a little bit of fun with this one. I want to see, first of all, Justin Timberlake, which is an easy pick, because he's kind of awesome as it is.
Well,
I want to see him golf, because Justin Timberlake, oh gosh, I can't ever do that again. I'm sorry. Justin Timberlake is actually a really good golfer.
Yeah?
He's played Augusta. He eagled the 13th hole in Augusta the first time he ever played it.
I have never done that.
No, a lot of people haven't.
Yeah.
So he would actually be good. And he's got all the etiquette and stuff. He did interviews with Golf Digest. He owns his own tournament. So, he would actually be a good golfer on top of being Justin Timberlake.
I mean, I think that's a great person to pick because he's passionate about a sport, which is fantastic. Me, I'm going with little short man like myself, Kevin Hart, okay?
Oh, gosh.
And I'm going with Kevin Hart to stand up for all the short people out there. Because you know what, Joe? We can do things, okay? We can do things athletically, okay?
I believe you.
I want to see Kevin Hart play football. I've seen him play basketball at the NBA All-Star games, okay? He's funny. He's funny as
he's
anything
hilarious.
else out there. He's fun to watch, entertaining. I think at the football field, chaos would break loose. We'd be running between people's legs. That'd be fun too.
Kevin Hart, I feel like you would have to mic him up, like in the Harlem Globetrotters games. Have him just talking on the loudspeaker the whole time.
You know what? That's his next job. I really think so. That's a perfect fit.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of One-on-One Sports, but be sure to follow us on Twitter at One-on-One Sports and like us on Facebook.
Also, be sure to watch our other videos and webcast on YouTube at youtube.com/101sports.
For all the producers and crew here at the show, we thank you for watching One-on-One Sports. And remember, until next time,
Whose side are you on?